everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Successor, a comedy video game design podcast where we take your lovely video game ideas and turn them into the next AAA titles. AJ, Reggie Fils-Aimé screwed me this week.
Like the big Nintendo guy?
The big Nintendo guy. Actually, wait.
I'm sorry,
he's the CEO.
That's
CEO
so wrong for me to do. The GameStop guy, the big GameStop guy.
The GameStop guy.
I just have him so connected to Nintendo in my mind that like the idea of him being the big GameStop man is still just like, it's so hard for me to make that mental jump, Beside the point. So you and I, you know what you and I had planned this lovely Friday night, or this past Friday night? You and I were going to hang out, be best buds, and play Monster Hunter Rise. The brand new Switch game. It's going to be so fucking good. And you know what? I was like, all right, I don't have pre-order money. I have upfront money. So I'm going to go to GameStop and I'm going to go buy it. Guess what, AJ? Every single GameStop, every single Target, every single fucking Walmart in my zip code is sold out of Monster Hunter Rise. Ooh. And I'm solely blaming Reggie Fils-Aimé because he was the first one to let me down. I don't know who the CEOs of Target and Walmart are, but I bet you they're shitty money hoarders as well. You know Reggie isn't like the CEO of GameStop, right?
He is the CEO of GameStop, isn't he?
No, he's up there, like he's at the big table.
What are you talking about? He was brought in to revamp like GameStop. He's the guy.
He's like the CEO. Just Google it really quick.
Reggie Fils-Aimé. Oh God, how do you spell Fils-Aimé? I'm a dumb, stupid, dumb Fils. Oh man, that's not how you say that. Oh, that was kind of close. Reggae? No, it's not Reggae Fils-Aimé. What is that?
Reggae Fils-Aimé.
Oh, that's how you spell Fils-Aimé. Reggie Fils-Aimé is an American businessman best known for being the president and chief operating officer of Nintendo of America. Where's your thing about GameStop, buddy? I need to know, or else this bit doesn't work.
I mean, look, I'm willing to blame Reggie Fils-Aimé anyway. I just wanted to get you on the well, actually, before somebody on Twitter did. You know what I mean? I'm out here doing their work to catch you overextended.
You're catching it. Okay, GameStop named Fils-Aimé along two others onto its board of directors. Okay, so he's board of directors. I can still blame him. He contributed to my sadness. I was going to hang out with my buddy. He
definitely contributed. If nothing else, he was complicit in your sorrows. So fuck him. The biggest man the biggest man in the games industry went out of his way to do nothing to help you.
Okay, and you know what you and I were going to do? We're going to use our small as fuck platform, and we're going to do something. We're going to get revenge on Reggie Fils-Aimé. And everybody who helps out is going to profit in the process. So, this is what I suggest, AJ. We buy out his stocks in GameStop. You and I, we make out like bandits, and then you and I are on the board of directors for GameStop. And then you and I can revolutionize the company with our brand new AAA video game ideas.
I don't think I can afford a stock in GameStop anymore.
Isn't it? No, it's only like $50 per, right?
Man, I don't know how much a stock costs. Who do I look like? John Wall Street?
John Wall Street. AJ Hart, John of Wall Street.
That's what the J stands for.
Okay, GameStop stock. Whoa, GameStop stock is down by a lot, but it's currently at $100. It's currently at $181. Yeah, you can still buy GameStop stock.
That $200 for a stock?
It's not $200. It's $181, AJ. That's $19 less.
You know what I could do with those $19?
You could buy Monster Hunter Rise 3 times over. I wish I could, but it's not available anywhere right now. It's
with
a $19
game? It was $50 at Walmart for some reason, which is weird because I thought it was going to be a $60 game. Yeah, maybe that's just how we do it out here in bumfuck Nowheresville.
The benefits of living in Nowheresville, America. $60 games are $10 cheaper. But outside of that, you only have a bowling alley and a Target to go to.
I don't have a Target here. Are you crazy?
You don't have a Target? What?
No.
What?
We got a bowling alley, though.
Is it? I mean, yeah, bowling alleys are great. You can get the cheesy fries. Dude, oh, man, that's like one thing I'm going to do once this whole quarantine's done. I'm going to go to a bowling alley, get some cheesy fries that are going to kill me in 3 years, and a nice little icy cup.
God, the worst thing that this pandemic has ever possibly done to me is make me miss bowling. Fuck bowling. God, the things I would do to be able to go bowling with my friends.
A little backstory here. AJ has famously famously among our group, not like online, but famously hates bowling.
It's not fun, and every time I go, I feel sick afterwards. I don't know what it is about bowling. I just always get like a bowling cold afterwards. Also, it's not fun to be there bowling. But man, if I was in a situation where my homies were like, "Hey Jay, you want to go bowling?" I would beat everybody to the alleyway.
Which is so fucking weird that you don't like bowling, because it just feels like AJ energy. Like, especially when it gets blacklight, you just like, it's loud, awesome, fun, pump music, either like 1980s or electronica. There's blacklights, there's alcohol there, you can just talk with your friends. Like, you don't have to worry about being loud. Like, AJ, they like bowling alleys just feel like you, man.
And they feel bad. You have to wear other people's shoes. It's too loud because, like, if you're bowling, you're probably just chatting and talking. So, like, you don't want super duper loud music. At that point, I may as well just go to an actual club or something.
I mean, like, but AJ, you could do the fun thing where, like, you could be a grown-ass man and ask them to, because they'll do it. They'll bring out the rail where you could just put the bowling ball on the rail. You say that,
but one time I was bowling someplace and I asked if we could get the rails up as a 20-something, and the person looked at me and said, "We don't do that for grown-ups." That did happen to me.
You know what? Maybe that's why you hate bowling so much. That one bad like experience. Like, you just wanted bumpers, and that guy was like, "Nah, man, you're a grown ass man. We don't do that for people like you. Sorry."
God, I hate bowling. Can we talk about something I like instead?
I just want to clarify that you and I started this bit talking about Reggie Fils-Aimé and how we wanted to get revenge on him, and then that turned into cheesy fries and bowling and how you hate it and I love it. Hello,
yeah, I know. Everybody. We're really bad at just like keeping to a mission statement and like keeping on a topic for any amount of time, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that makes the podcast fun, I think. Just jump from topic to topic to topic. All right, give you a submission? I mean, I think we still need to know your name, AJ. They know my name because I said it in a very anger statement. Introduce yourself, AJ. Tell us your name and three facts about yourself.
Okay. My name is AJ Hart. I'm super cool.
What do you main in Monster Hunter? Monster Hunter Rise. What do you main?
I am a Charge Blade main, but I've been dabbling with Greatsword this time around.
Favorite monster in Monster Hunter?
Ooh. Pookie up there for favorite. There was a monster in Monster Hunter 4 called Kechawecha that I really adored. That one was really cool and fun.
Okay, what was the card number that you used to purchase Monster Hunter Rise? And don't forget those three little nifty numbers on the back.
Yeah, 4070500. Well, hit me with a video game today.
Okay, I'll hit you with a video game. All right, this one comes to us on Twitter from Blue Bowser Stan account at Koopa Kirby. Pong as a roguelike. I'm still on that nice Loop Hero high, and I'm wondering, how can you and I do Pong as a roguelike? So let's look at the elements of Pong.
Isn't that just like any of those like Paddle Blast games? You know the ones I'm talking about. We have the little ball that jumps up, hits the blocks, and bounces down to the paddle.
That's not a roguelike, though. That's just like each level is slightly different. I'm thinking of like, how can you do a randomly generated like Pong game? So I think let's say you're starting a run in this roguelike Pong. Your paddle needs to be unique, the ball needs to be unique, and the things you are hitting need to be uniquely shaped. So like you know, like in Loop Hero when you unlock the thing where you get basic gear, when you start out, but that basic gear can like change in its value. It's not always the same, basically. I'm wondering if you can do something similar like that, where it's like you go out and you get it's everything's randomly generated for you. So you have a paddle that is maybe it's not a normal size paddle. Maybe it's extra long, or it's extra small. And then the ball is actually triangle shaped, so it moves erratically. It doesn't move like a ball. And also the movement speed can be different. The amount of I'm wondering if you could do a similar effect. You ever play What the Golf? Where you just log into a level. You never played What the Golf? Oh my god, that game. Actually, AJ, we should play that on the channel. Like, that's a really, really fun co-op game. So
what is What the Golf?
What the Golf is a golfing game, but everything about it is just really abstract. So like the first time you log in, instead of hitting the ball, when you swing your club, your body gets moved as if it were the ball. And then there are other levels where you actually are a soccer ball trying to get to the end of the level, trying to get into the hole, or you're a ball that has like a grappling hook and you're trying to swing around planets, or it's very, very bizarre and it's very, very fun. And then it all like equates into one.
And
big,
like the rules change every level.
Yeah, the rules change every level. I mean, well, the goal is the same. It's the goal is, get your
thing
quote
to
ball.
end.
Yes, or have it hit the flag in some areas, because like sometimes like a body doesn't fit into a hole, so it's like you hit the flag. And there is always a race element to it, where if you're playing co-op, it's like if you and I were playing, the first one to get to the flag wins. So could you do a co-op versus element to this?
Oh, and
like
bring in the idea that it's 2 players. Okay, I don't know about it being 2 players, but here's a game that this is reminding me of. Did you ever hear me talk about Monster in the Well?
No, I've never talked to you about that before.
So Monster in the Well is this game. It's an indie game. I played it on Switch for a while. Essentially what it is you go into this dungeon and there's all sorts of things that you need to smack so that they trigger switches and stuff. But the way that it actually plays is that you are a little robot that has different bats, and you can swing them at balls, and the balls will launch at those things that you need to hit. Think of it as a game where all of the combat, instead of you attacking things, you're attacking a ball that will go out and strike the things that you want to hit.
And real quick question, does that like activate traps that clear enemies? Is that like what it is?
It's mostly within this game, it's defense mechanisms. There'll be lasers that shoot you, so you need to make sure you don't trigger the laser by hitting the wrong thing. Or there'll be like nodes that need to be charged, so you need to hit it with the ball 4 times, or you need to get the ball charged with lightning and then hit something else. It is like a puzzle blaster, I guess, and a little bit like Pong. But I will admit that it's low on combat, high on puzzles. So maybe what we're looking at for a roguelike Pong game is that same system of you have a ball and different paddles that you can use to strike that ball, but different paddles, which you'll pick up roguelike through boxes through the level, will cause different things to happen when you strike the ball. Perhaps you get one power-up that is the multi-ball trigger.
I want to build on this. So you brought up an interesting thing of like the idea of going through a level and like hitting various things. What if we put this on a railway? So it's Pong, but the boxes move towards you. So you need to clear the space like as it comes towards you. So it's
like Tetris style?
Like Tetris style, not exactly, because Tetris,
not Tetris
is about
style.
like,
what's the one where you have a marble
Space
blaster?
Invaders,
You're at the bottom, you're shooting things up, right? It is all of those tile blaster games, except the tiles are always going to be feeding down towards you from the top.
Yes, but unlike Bubble, once those boxes get to the bottom, it doesn't kill you.
Bubble is a platformer where you run around and you catch monsters in giant bubbles and they float up to the top so you can kill them, which is a different game.
Bubble? No, that's Bubble Bobble. Or is that Bubble Trouble?
Is that different than Bubble Bubble? Bubble Trouble might be the blaster you're thinking of.
Bubble Trouble game. No, Bubble. Yeah, because I think we're talking about the same thing, but they had
Bubble Bubble's the one with the dinosaurs.
Yes, but there are 2 games that use those dinosaurs. You're right. There is Bubble Bobble is the one where you're like in that little platforming game.
I know I'm right about Bubble Bobble being a platformer. Don't come at me about Bubble Bobble.
Well, I'm trying because there was this arcade. God, it was so cool too. This was like this was my local pizzeria as a kid.
You're thinking about Bubble Blaster.
Is it Bubble Blaster? Okay. So unlike you're right. It is God, I miss Bubble Blaster so much. That game was like because it was just so part of my childhood. Like every time I was done with like a baseball game or something, I'd go to this just really shitty pizza joint that had this amazing Bubble Blaster and Metal Slug arcade cabinets, and it was just so fucking cool. But let's going back. So unlike Bubble Blaster, where once the bubbles get to the bottom you die, it doesn't work that way. In this game, it's about trying to keep your ball alive. So, like in Pong, if the ball goes past you, you lose a point. In this game, you lose a life or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, and you're just trying to get it could, and we'll have to figure this out. Is this like level based, or is it like it's endless, like Loop Hero theoretically? Is there like a boss at the end of? Actually, that'd be fucking cool. So you do a thing where you have to keep your ball to survive till the end of the level, but along the level, the more boxes you destroy, can increase, like, each box has like income in it that you can purchase upgrades between levels, or during the level you can get power-up boxes that be like, oh, now your ball's on fire, and it basically, instead of just destroying one box, it'll destroy every box that's adjacent to the one that it connects.
And there'll
like
be
an
a little
explosive
shop
round.
that you can constantly buy these little upgrades from. I like that. I like that.
And you know what could be funny too is like the shopkeep is just like an L piece from Tetris. He's just like it's just like Tetris pieces that are just managing this store. And then once you get to the end, it becomes some sort of like, could you do where all the bosses are like variances of Pong, and you can only use the power-ups that you got along the level or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So it's like a tile blaster through like the level, and then every time you hit a boss, it becomes like a Pong match. And you would throw your little ball up. The boss would hit it, and the boss will have like a different thing, right? Like maybe one boss strikes it, and your ball will become a spin ball, and it's gonna go a different way. Or the boss will hit it, and it'll do like a fun loop-de-loop. Or the boss will hit it, and then it will disappear, and you have to like aim your tile where you think it should land. Just because by this point you should have it down pat by this point.
You know, it'd be so cool too. Like it's Pong is like such a basic game, but I feel like there's
I don't know
so
how
many
I feel
things
about
you
it
can do
being
with it.
like on rails is my problem. Like I feel like putting it on rails is a little bit.
Well, that gives you more. I think that gives you more variance, because like a roguelike is
It'll give you more stress for certain. Although then
a roguelike, in my opinion, is like that it needs to feel different every time. And how do you make, if it's just one board, how do you make that one board different every time and feel like, oh, I'm excited of this difference, you know?
Yeah. My issue is more about like the gameplay feel of it being on rails. But I guess if you're just going to be able to allowed to move your little tile or dude that hits the ball left or right, I guess being on rails is totally fine. And then it's just like a thematic thing.
How about this? Let's think of this differently. Rather than it's a rail, let's take the Gungeon.
I'll hit you with this. Let's put a pin in it.
Okay. You want to put a pin in it?
Because there is something here.
Okay, because I have a little bit more. I was thinking Pong, but as a bullet hell. And maybe we can have some fun with that, where you're going room to room and like you're bouncing the ball around the room rather than it being like a rail. You're going from bottom to top while things are coming from top to bottom to you. But yeah, let's put a pin in it. Let's talk about another game. Do you have a game for us, brother?
Yeah, I got this one. Comes from Ryan Vafazida at Vafa Ryan on Twitter. Neko Atsume 2 Feral Cat Collector. Do you remember the time in the early aughts? It was like the end of the DS days, start of the Kinect. Well, we'll get to our memories of Neko Atsume.
I've never played those games, but continue.
You didn't play Neko Atsume? Okay, well, let's go with the grandiose stuff. The early aughts, late early aughts. Kinect was on its way, so we had Kinectimals. We had Nintendogs and Nintendogs 2 and Nintendo Cats. You know, digital pets were really all the rage at this point. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to the point when we all loved digital pets. We had Tamagotchis and shit like that, and we just don't have that. We don't have that anymore, you know what I mean? So perhaps we might be able to return to that with Neko Atsume 2. So let's talk about our experience with Neko Atsume. Neko Atsume was a very passive cat collector. You opened up the app, and every now and again, a new little JPEG of a cat maybe would have shown up. Unless, of course, Tubbs showed up, which was a fat cat that would eat all of the cat food that you put out. And if Tubbs showed up to your fucking garden, you weren't going to get any more cats because you have to put cat food in the yard to get new cats, and Tubbs would eat it all because he's a big fat cat. Hate you, Tubbs, smug, smiling some bitch.
Okay. I never really played these games much. I think the closest I got was... No, never played Nintendogs. The closest I've gotten to this...
But you played Nintendo Cats, right?
No, I didn't. I never played any of that stuff.
Oh, you were a Kinectimals guy.
No, not Kinectimals. I did steal a Tamagotchi once, and then had to give it back because I got caught. I was in fucking elementary school. I was an idiot.
So why didn't you play any of these? Perhaps that's the problem, right? Maybe we need to find out what would make you interested in an e-pet situation.
You know, what
was it about these games that didn't hook you?
I have a thing with games. I love really, and you and I were just talking about this prior to recording this episode, is I like tight-knit story-driven experiences, and games where you're just casually kind of get to do what you want whenever you want they just don't really hook me all that much. The exception of, I really like Minecraft, but I can only play that for a little bit, and Don't Starve. And I'll play a fuck ton of Don't Starve, but then I die, and then I'm like, I'm not touching this game for another 3 months because I'm so mad that I died and lost hours worth of work.
So your problem is that it was a game where you could pet your pets, but it wasn't a game where you experienced a deep plot.
There was no plot and there was no stakes. So I'm wondering if we're dealing with feral cats, so that means there has to be stakes, right? These are cats they'll fuck you up. Like, is there a possibility that you can do a game about taking care of your animals so they don't do a mutiny on you? So is it about, like, trying to appease your cat overlords that have invaded your home?
I've just been reminded of something horrible in video game history, and I need to share it with you because this is very germane to our discussion.
All right, tell me about it.
So, you know Fire Emblem. You know the hit video game Fire Emblem, the tactics game.
Yeah. No, totally, man. I remember you being addicted to that game for a while.
Did you know that in one of them you were able to pet your friends?
I don't feel comfortable.
No, it wasn't like a weird thing. It was like,
okay, let's break that down. Let's be honest. A head scratch is really nice. I don't give it, unless you have like a thing about touch, which is totally understandable. But like, if I'm like hanging out with like a girlfriend or something and she starts scratching my head, I'm gonna fucking pass out right there. I could be walking on a pier and I'll pass out. It's that good.
Here's what happened. Okay, so in Japan, they censored it. This is the only reason why I know about this is because it became a big discussion on Twitter.
Nothing good has ever started with, and they censored it.
Well, censoring it, okay, you know what? They removed it. Censor feels like a strong word because it didn't feel like something that needed removed. So here's what it was.
You can pet your friends anywhere.
You could pet your friends.
What
so
you're
in Fire Emblem, I think it was Fire Emblem Fates, which there's a lot wrong with Fire Emblem Fates, but this one maybe wasn't a bad thing.
Isn't that the one where you can like date your siblings or some shit, dude?
There's a lot wrong with Fire Emblem Fates, but we're not talking about that right now. There was a mechanic in it called skinship, where you could invite your people over to your room, and it's a little bit like the new Fire Emblem. There's a tea time thing where you invite somebody over for tea time. But in Fire Emblem Fates, you would invite them into your room, and you could pet your friends, and you would gain bond over it. And so when they localized it to America, they removed the ability to pet your friends, but they kept it if you could pet your wife or husband. If you married somebody, you were allowed to pet them. If you weren't married, you weren't allowed to pet them. And I'm just blown away because if your problem, Blake, is that you never played a Nintendogs or a Kinectimals, a game about petting incredible little beings, Fire Emblem could have given you that if you married one of the cat or dog people.
Oh my god.
Because then you would have gotten your digital e-pet and you would have gotten a game with very deep and good story. Well, not from Fates. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. That's not what Fates had to offer.
How does any of this translate to our feral cats game? Are you saying we have a bunch of feral cat girls that you can pet or
I never played Kinectimals or any of those games because there was no plot to it, and I remembered a game where you could pet something and it was tied to the plot. That's really kind of the only main connection. I don't want to have
to go through like 60 hours of incest to get to that experience, okay? That does not sound at all appealing.
You were able to avoid dating all of your siblings. There was only 4 siblings on each side. Yeah, that game really said go ahead and marry your siblings, huh? Damn, Fates. What's up? Fire Emblem, what was your damage?
You know, it's here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing. Because everybody likes to hide behind this wall. Not everybody. I'm not going to do a blanket statement. Sorry. There are people that hide behind the wall. It's like, well, it's medieval, man. I'm like, that doesn't mean we need to do it. That doesn't mean you need to make a game where that's a thing you can do. Like that does that? It's like look, okay, cool. Okay, if they're telling a story that takes place in medieval whatever, it's like Game of Thrones or something. Sure, like that's something that happens, and that's something that's part of your story. But the moment you put it into a video game,
thing until the last season, and wow, fuck, they winged that one up.
No, okay, here's the thing. I think there's a difference between telling a story that has elements of that and putting somebody in an experience where they can pursue it themselves. There's a very, very big difference for me with that. Because, like, it's like, hey, check out this game where you get to have this dating game where you get to live with these people for 60 hours plus 80 hours. They're also your brother and sister. And it's going to be a great experiance. And I'm like, it is not about telling the story at that point. It's about it's like, hey, you have that fetish that you don't want to tell all your buddies about? Come play our game. You know, like it.
Okay.
We can't
get
different.
into the nitty gritty of using this narrative story thing.
Yeah.
Wow, it is a theme that too many things play with and is yucky as all get out, huh? So, for the purpose of our Neko Atsume 2 Feral Cats video
that's it. Let's go to the next game.
Sorry.
We talked about, unless you have something, is something there, or is it just funnier to leave it on the note of us talking about using that as a platform to
the cats can talk, and like 5 of them want to kill God, and so you can pet them and be like, who's about to go commit deicide? Who's going to go do deicide? And that would be very fun, actually. Perhaps.
So you're raising these cats to,
so that they can go kill God.
Are you just like some fucking wizard or something, or some magical being that is collecting?
No, you're just a dude in the backyard.
You're just some dude in fucking Burbank, Los Angeles. Just like, man, I have a bunch of feral cats just outside my house. I'm gonna raise them to kill God.
Well, they want to kill God on their own. That's their journey.
And you just want to help them achieve their biggest dreams. Like,
and
you're a very
them.
caring cat parent. That's I can respect that. So what does gameplay look like? Is it like a day-to-day manager like Persona or Deadly Premonition where you gotta,
I think it would play like the app or like Connectimals or Nintendogs, where you just kind of check in on it every day to just see what's going on, how your pets are doing, if any new pets showed up. Who wants head scratches? Who doesn't want head scratches? Who's hungry? Who's not hungry? It's just now now there's dialogue and plot lines and head scratches.
So, okay, AJ.
Yeah?
We're just gonna lead into it. Let's fucking lead into it. So, when you get these cats, they look like cats, but as they grow in level, they become human.
Are you about to pitch some Hatofo boyfriend shit? Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna become anthropomorphized like cat dudes and cat women, and just
so you meet one cat and it's like a big like buff cat, and you're like, oh, that's fun. And then as you go down the plot line, they turn into like fucking Kiryu Kazuma or some shit.
They get a back tat, and it's just a cat face. It's just a giant cat paw on their back. That actually sounds. It's just picture Kiryu Kazuma, but instead of a dragon, it's just like it's just your grumpy ass cat. What's the name of your cat that's always giving you shit looks? But they're like super nice. Zombie, yeah. They just have just Kiryu Kazuma with a grumpy face cat on their back.
Maybe there's one cat that's missing an eye, and then as you raise it, it turns out that cat's like a pirate or something.
No, they're underground fighting rink. They're like in a fight club sort of thing. Oh my god, they're in a gang called the Stray Cats, dude. And they're just
that's very good.
Yeah. Then you have another one that grows up to be some sort of musician. Just the wildest okay, but hold on. How does that equate to they all want to kill God? Are we dropping the kill God thing where
we're dropping the kill God? They all have their own unique plot lines, and you can get them by feeding. You can get those unique plot lines by feeding them and giving them head scratches and taking them out for walks.
It's just the head scratch thing just becomes progressively more uncomfortable as the game goes on. It's like,
it's not uncomfortable to pet your homies. Everyone loves a good head pat.
You know, you're right. I don't know. It's just like...
That's why it's weird that Fire Emblem removed petting your homies. Give them head scratches. We all love a good hug.
You know, you're right. Like, if I think about our friend group, which is like, I think very tight knit, it's just constantly talking about hugging and cuddling and kissing each other. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. If you care for your homie very deeply, a head pat is totally reasonable.
It still blows my mind that when they localized Fire Emblem, they were like, the sister thing, yeah, we're keeping that, but we absolutely cannot have people petting or hugging each other. Yuck.
You know, it's kind of, it is weird. By them removing it, I think they made it more.
They made it weird by removing it, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, it's something you only do with people that you're super close with, so it'd be like, it's like trying to...
No, it's something you do because they're canonically animal, rabbit, and cat, like dog, cat, and rabbit people. Of course I'm going to want to pet them, idiot.
Hold on a second. So
Fire Emblem has animal people, yeah.
Well, okay, but what I'm asking is the petting option only available towards the animal people?
Or no, it's like for all of the people. It's for anybody.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's I mean, sure, that's fine.
Hey, anyway, you have a video game for me? This one went way off the rails.
Yeah, we went all over the place. I think that's our charm, though, AJ. We talk about one thing, and then we forget what we're talking about.
I think our charm is that we congratulate ourselves super often. What? Give me a submission.
We got to be confident, man. I realized that I don't know what happened, but... all of the submissions I saved, or quote, I thought I saved, I didn't save.
Okay, go get one then. Go fishing.
Okay. Give me a second.
I mean, I could give you another one myself if you want. It'll be a bit unfair to you, but...
Hey, AJ, I lost all my submissions. Can you give me another one, please? I don't know. My phone's wigging out right now.
Yeah. This comes from Caleb at Busto314, a character action game where the main gimmick is having visions of the future, showing you attacks ahead of time. This is very funny to me.
Okay. Isn't that just like Sasuke's power in Naruto, where they have their first fight in front of the waterfall? Like, he can kind of see all the attacks before they happen?
Yeah, but here's what I want to pitch you, Blake. You're playing a character action game. You see a character make the attack to attack you. Is your immediate thought to wait or dodge that one?
Hold on, what? I'm sorry, what are you asking me?
So this character action game would show you the full animation of your character being stricken, and then the animation would trigger of the enemy actually attacking you, giving you two things to dodge. So every time that your character would normally dodge, you have to decide whether or not this is your character's ability triggering and you're seeing the future, which you should do nothing about, or if you go ahead and dodge this one because it might be real. I'm proposing a character action game where you play as That's So Raven, and you don't know when your ability is triggering or not.
Oh, well, I mean, like, I feel like that would be... Is it inconsistent? Is that what you're saying? Like, you don't know.
I think it'd be fun if it was inconsistent, or perhaps it goes off randomly, and the only way you can tell is by, like, in the very bottom right corner there will be a tiny icon that you need to, like, train yourself to like be watching in the periphery.
You know what this is like? This is like, because we don't actually see it happen in the game. This is Katana Zero. Like, that's his ability in Katana Zero, is like he can run over, like, he basically sees the possibilities in front of him before he actually does the full act. So I'm wondering if it's is it something like that, but you don't know if you're seeing a premonition or if you're actually in the fight. What's preventing you from dodging regardless?
Yeah, you don't know if it's a premonition. Yeah. I'm imagining it a little bit less in depth than the Katana Zero gimmick, and I'm imagining something in... I recently played through all of Fury, and there was this incredible boss fight where there's always like a visual tell when you are supposed to trigger the block in Katana Zero, or not Katana Zero, in Fury. And then near the end, there's a boss that when he does his attack, he blurs his entire body and then like does a full body check forward to feint like he's going for an attack. That you as a player have to realize that's a bluff, wait half a second longer, and then block.
So it's a game, about
that it just triggers
identifying bluffs.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a world where like those bluffs change enemy to enemy? So like every enemy has their own bluff, but also is that how do you? I feel like that's just games in general, though. Is like you have to identify, like you're just seeing some sort of identifier to let you know, like, hey, is this an actual attack that's coming, or is there an opening here? I feel like it's not necessarily.
Or
yeah,
what if you
go
think?
ahead.
What if you think it's something that you're supposed to block, and it isn't?
Mm-hmm.
You block the bluff, but sometimes you think it isn't a bluff, and it is an attack. I'm saying the superpower is 50-50.
That's just fight games, dude. That's not necessary. You just described identifying, like, oh, this person's gonna attack or they're not gonna attack. It's not. I don't think it's playing with the premonition part of it. I'm wondering. Okay, here. How about this? You and I are gonna create this game that has a premonition mechanic where you don't know if you're seeing a premonition or somebody's currently attacking. But here's the stink. If you react during a premonition, the person that you are reacting to sees that and can then changes up their attack. So by not being able to dictate if it's a premonition or not, it changes like their attack overall. So it's maybe there's this domino effect of this person's coming in for a swipe. You don't realize it's a premonition. You duck as if they're swiping. Oh, that person now knows that you're reacting to that, and then they get the upper hand on you. But then again, like, is that really premonition-y, or is that just
all right?
combat?
I'm going to be honest with you, Blake. About halfway through that discussion, I realized that I wasn't following at all. And then I started to think about the fact that Sasuke sees like this, and man, how did he do it?
Well, luckily
Sasuke master the Sharingan and the ability to predict his enemy's moves? Because that sounds stressful.
It was wicked. Like it was wicked well illustrated in the manga because like you actually see everything that's a premonition is like half opacity. So he sees like the trail in which it's coming, but he sees like the present time at the same time. So he just basically sees like a reverse ghosting effect. And that's like, I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool as hell, actually. And that feels easier to understand than being like some abstract, like, you get a vision every time somebody moves a finger. You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, you could like see the trail.
Okay, that's what it is then. Every time an enemy attacks, they create 3 clones, and you have to quickly identify which one's the real one and block that.
Wait, actually, you're onto something here. So
it's a constant guessing game to figure out which one you're supposed to block, and there's gonna be like 18 enemies on the field.
See, okay, how about this? Yeah, you're right. That was exactly where I was going. Is like if it's just one person. Let's start with like visualizing this with one person. You spawn on the left side of the room. Your enemy spawns on the right side of the room. That person stays in front of the door, but clones come out from them. That shows you their path. And once they get to the end of their path, they can attack. So and then you basically you can't kill anything that isn't the end path thing. So you can't, let's say there's 3 clones. There's the initial person, the person in the middle of a running animation, and then the third clone is lifting their gun up and is ready to attack. You can only kill when somebody's drawing their weapon on you. And it sounds pretty easy when it's only one, but now imagine seeing that where it's just like 18 different people like bullet helling you. So you have to jump from person to person, but if you swipe through like their like their transition clone or whatever, that's not going to actually kill that enemy. And maybe is that like kind of what you're saying? So you see the path that people are walking and you're trying to intercept them at the end of their path.
Yes. Okay. Man, this game would be really tough to do as like an actual character action game, and I'm starting to wonder if it would be like a slowed down tactics game, if that makes any sense.
I feel like you could do it. It's just like I don't know. I feel like, would you say Vanquish is a character action game? No.
I would say that Vanquish is a piece of shit.
What are you talking about? You can fucking drift on your knees, dude. That's all you need.
Platinum Games has done a lot of incredible work from their studio, and they made Vanquish.
Didn't they make that other game that was also like, it was around the same time. It was like you had a jetpack and like a
Dark Void?
Dark Void. Yeah, was that also them?
That doesn't seem like it would be a Platinum game.
I don't know who made that, but I remember playing the freaking what is it called? Dark Void. I remember playing the demo for that all the time, and I had such a good time with it. It's developed by Airtight Games. Okay. I don't know. I guess maybe because I just had those demos installed at the same time. Dude, he's just got a fucking leather jacket and sweet like mech armor. That is such a cool concept to me. All right, whatever.
Really dope.
That game.
Like, you got a video game for me, or do I gotta keep carrying this on my back?
Here, I could give you another game. 1 second. Okay, here we go. This one comes to us from Love is Love, so march to the beat of your own drum at Dust in Your Eyes on Twitter. A hyper-realistic firefighting simulator with literal permadeath. If you die in the game, your console catches fire for real. So I'm thinking, because AJ, firefighters are fucking huge right now.
Oh, are they? Name me 3 IPs with fires.
Promare, Fire Force, and there was that other one. Oh, there was the other one that was so good.
Give me a third. You dig deep.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's a video game where you're like 2 duo firefighters, and like you basically have to. Actually, no, that's an ambulance game.
Yep. Okay. Come on, dig deep. I know. I have a third one.
You have a third one? Maybe I just have the perception that they're huge because like my Twitter is full of people doing different like future firefighter outfits and like doing all the rigging and stuff, and it's just super, super cool. What's the third one, AJ? I named 2. I did 2/3 of the work. Come in, give us our 1/3, AJ.
I don't know the name of it, but I believe there's like 3 current firefighter like procedural dramas.
You're giving me shit.
Sorry, I don't watch
name
cable
3.
television.
I can't even name 1. Well, there's that. Okay, there was that one television show, like Under Fire, not Under Fire. It's the one about it has Dennis Leary in it and
Chicago Fire, Station 19, 911.
No, it's this firefighter TV drama. I remember my parents like loving that firefighter TV show.
Is it not Station 19, the 4-season-long 2018 show on ABC?
No. Rescue Me is the one that a lot of people like really dug. Okay, but either way, like firefighters are cool right now because they're fun. They are an organized sort of like unit of people that are just going to save lives. So I'm wondering if we can do some of our own version of this game. And one thing I always think about is what does like rescue teams look like in fantasy worlds? So I'm wondering if we can do something set in like on Sword Coast, like the D&D universe, or some other like the Pathfinder universe, but you are strictly firefighters.
What is a fantasy firefighter?
A fantasy firefighting team. And I think that that just would be so cool because like you could there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. Maybe
it wouldn't be very cool if you were a druid. That would suck and hurt a lot for you, probably.
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of, yes, this is a fantasy world, but maybe it's not necessarily that these firefighters are... let me circle back. You know, like in Fire Force, you know who's the most interesting character of the Fire Force team? It's the captain.
Arthur.
Because he...
Okay.
It's the captain because he doesn't have any actual, like, pyromancy abilities. He is just a guy with
Fire
a bunch
Force,
of equipment.
Just for those that aren't following along, that's an anime currently. It's about a bunch of people that have superpowers of fire so that they can help fight other things with superpowers that have fire.
But the captain of that team, it's made by the same people who did Soul Eater. It has a lot of like uncomfortable fan service in it, but the concept is like the world building in that series is very good. The captain of the team we follow doesn't have any fire abilities. He's just a normal ass dude that uses equipment and is constantly trying to
that's what we have in the real life, dog.
But like it stands out more because he's dealing with like magical beings, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm wondering if you can do some sort of firefighting game where all of our characters don't have magical abilities. They are like you ever heard of magic?
So you want to put normal firefighters into a fantasy world where they do firefighting.
I'm wondering. No, like I don't think it's that basic. I'm trying to.
Because if you're saying fantasy firefighters, I'm thinking like a paladin and like a warlock and like a sorcerer fighting fires.
Okay,
so that's not the direction you want to go?
Now I'm thinking along the lines because AJ and I are about to pick up this game called Heart, and there is a trained paladin in it, and I'm wondering if you could do a paladin that's also just a firefighter, and just like the armor aesthetic on something like that would be so
A wet
fucking
paladin.
Oh, don't say that, please. Don't say it like that.
What's wrong with saying it like that?
So, but like, oh god, that would be so fucking cool. So it's like, it's just some sort of, I'm thinking like you are in this fantastical world and you are just a cool unit of firefighters. Could you do a thing where it is, god, how do you, is there a way, I don't know how else to describe this, but, like a horde style game. So like doing it where it's a squad, you pick a squad of 4 there, and each character has their own abilities, their own thing, and you're going into this game or this where you have to like basically go through the level putting out all the fires in it, and maybe there are certain enemies that you need to take down that only this fantasy like firefighting crew can do. So like, let's say
I kind of like the idea of like it is a fantasy world. It is the same. It is like in a similar fantasy world that somebody would be taking out the Demon King or some shit like that. But instead of following heroes trying to go kill the Demon King, we're facing the heroes that are trying to save as
like
many lives in the forest or in the village being attacked by a dragon. Like, you know what you see a lot of in Skyrim? Dragons. You know what you don't see a lot in Skyrim? The people having to put out the fires.
Yeah, the construction crews, the people that are like doing damage control and trying to help people like
the field
get
medics.
out of their houses and stuff.
Yeah.
So could we do a thing where this is like it's like a dungeon game? And there's only 3 players, by the way, AJ, because we got to get with the times.
Of course, yeah. We hate fourth-player games. Destiny's the greatest game ever made, and we'll always be trying to emulate the 2 games that influenced game design more than anything, which are, of course, Destiny and Battletoads.
So could we do a thing where each location is like a dungeon? You need to put out a bunch of fires until you get to the boss room, where there is some sort of fire elemental or fire-themed monster that you then need to take down. So it's like a firefighter first-person shooter like horde game.
What if it was less of a horde game and more of a puzzler? What if it was a game where like you have these 3 or 4 different classes of character that are all like, you know, the normal fantasy tropes, right? A paladin, a warlock, a sorcerer, and a ranger or something. And you have to do puzzles so that you can save as many people as you can. You have to find out how to get into the building and keep the building up so that you can get as many people out of the building as possible before it burns down.
And if you don't complete, going back to the submission here, each of these dungeons, let's say, has a time limit. And if you don't complete it in that time limit, guess what? Your PS5 going up in flames. You're going to need to scalp it again.
Yes. I forgot that's a gimmick for it. Sorry, I'm getting really invested in the idea of like a puzzle game where you have like the fantasy classes solving puzzles. I almost wonder if it would play like a turn-based puzzler, if that makes any sense. That way we can set up our time limit in a way that allows players to think through the situations. Like XCOM, yeah.
Yes.
I love the idea of being XCOM also because that gives us a world where we can create something with enough fidelity that if it overheats our game systems, it totally makes any sense.
It's just like,
man, how many gigahertz and teraflops and RAM jiggles do you think it takes to put a PS5 in flames?
I don't know. Like it's
we're gonna load every possible hair follicle of something, huh?
Like what do you think would be? That's an interesting question. So I've heard of like consoles or computers going up in flames because of overheating. What do you think is the thing that usually catches fire in something like that? Is it the processor? Is it the hard drive? Is it the power port or like some sort of connection part that usually shorts out? I'm trying to figure out like what is the first thing that would blow up, because this is what I'm thinking is like if it's the graphics card, then that tells me we need to do something that has a lot of visual like information, a lot of real-time rendering that needs to be done. So that's intense lighting, that's particle effects.
The fastest is of course the heater in the computer.
The heater? Yeah, because I don't want my computer getting too cold. That's
you don't want it to freeze up. So every PC has a heater involved. That way, it's always warmed up. You know what I mean?
Little known fact: if your computer's running a little bit cold, just duct tape it to a radiator. Boom, you're gonna be flying 60 FPS, 4K UHD. Just do that.
Keep it active.
Don't fact check that. It's that simple. It's that simple. Don't worry about it.
You could tell me that a gigaflop. I used the term gigaflop earlier. That's not a real computer term. You think I know shit about computers? Do you know what a gigaflop is? No.
A gigaflop is a real word. It's just like that. It's just.
I know teraflop is a word because it sounds stupid. That's a real word for computers.
Because it has flop in it. And whenever you think flop, you think like a flop house or like some sort of flap. I was going to say flapjacks, but flapjacks is different than flop. When
I think of flop, I think of the ASDF movie, and it's like, everybody do the flop. Hey, Blake, we got 55 minutes of recording here. Do we want to go ahead and pick a nug and pick a game here?
That's right. We should pick a nug. What do you think is our nug?
We should pick a nug. I'm like, of all the games that we've created, I am most interested personally in a tactics puzzler where you play as RPG classes trying to keep a town stable enough to save as many lives as possible. It's a very, very fun concept.
And if you don't do that,
the idea that if your characters die personally, your PC or game system heats up and bricks itself, very funny.
God, it'd be kind of cool too. What if it's more along the lines of this? So, a total party kill, your console goes up in flames. If one person of the party dies, only one thing gets kind of starts wigging out in your console.
If you get one character to die, your PC fan starts going crazy.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of like,
you're like, that's really noisy, huh?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of it affects gameplay somehow. So it'd be like one person dies. Guess what? The HDMI port, it's now only displaying half of your screen. So it's like it's something that actually makes the game harder, but is also slowly fucking up your console as it goes on. So one person dies, half your monitor goes out. Two people die, and you're like the last person left. What's another visual thing that can do?
It turns into a text-based adventure.
I was thinking your monitor just starts flashing, periodically, like Morse code is just like on, off, on, off.
Perhaps it's something where every time a character dies, the resolution of the game gets worse, but it starts opening up more things in the background to slow your computer down. So like one person dies, the game de-reses to like 144p. And also, your game just... AJ, and then your whole thing starts to heat up.
It's not de-reses. You know why it's not de-resing? Because that makes it run faster. Because it's less
Well, that's
fidelity.
What I'm saying.
The resolution climbs every time somebody dies. So you're playing this love and death, like, little dance of, like, man, all these particle effects, all this real-time lighting and rendering looks fucking amazing now that half my party's dead. But guess what? That beauty comes at a cost, AJ. It starts slowly frying your PC or frying your PS5.
Then instead of it de-resing, you get like a filter a mosaic filter that crunches everything for you.
Real quick, I'm just picturing... You know how you get around that? You just play on other people's servers. So you just smash cut to like those companies that host games for you on their servers, but you play remotely on your computer. So
we use this to destroy Google Stadia.
Yeah, you smash cut to like a server house, and just like one server goes up in flames, another server goes up in flames, and then just suddenly every server is just like poof, 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 poof. It's just like the one guy working there's like, they don't pay me enough for this, and he just fucking just runs. And then all of Google burns down. Actually, no, GameStop doesn't have any servers like that, do they? Damn it, Reggie Fils-Aimé, you've gotten away from me yet again.
Reggie.
So, okay, let's talk about the puzzle element, because I feel like we talked about it vaguely, but not necessarily... Like, let's just talk about one level, like one room. Like, is it...
Yeah, one level would be like you are in a village that has recently been attacked by a dragon. So we've got a couple toppled buildings. Let's say that the dragon perched up on a church tower, and the church tower got knocked over when the dragon took off again. He's lit like 2 houses on fire, and all the sheep have run loose. You have in your party like a ranger, you've got like a warlock and a paladin. Perhaps the ranger you want to start having send a dog over to go herd up the animals. So we've got that handled.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to tactics wise send in like you have to have the ranger command dog herd, and like that would cause the dog to go herd up the sheep.
I'm it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was picturing this as that we take all the classes but then modify them to be firefighting themed. So it's like we have a paladin, but instead of a hammer, they have like
classes.
A gauntlet that's interesting.
I think the flavor might be changed a little bit. I do like that idea, but I do think that like the flavor of the ranger of the dog, maybe the dog's like a Dalmatian with a fun firefighter hat. But I think that at its core, it is a fantasy, like, tropey ranger class.
Oh, interesting. So it's a game about adapting those skills to, like, fit, like... It's not a game about, like, firefighter-themed rangers. It's about, like, what uses would a ranger have in firefighting? Or what uses would a warlock have in firefighting?
It's about heroes that are trying to save people rather than trying to get fame. These are not heroes out for fame nor glory. This is heroes out to save as many people as possible.
My main issue with that is when you get into classes like paladins or other things, I feel a lot of them are combat themed. So how do you adapt a combat themed thing to that? Like doing a wizard or a warlock makes sense. Oh,
they're big and strong and buff.
Okay,
alternatively, paladins might be the only ones tanky enough to go into a flaming building, and perhaps the warlock should handle the fire.
So let's say we have like just so I'm following you, we have this one woman who's a paladin, and her job is to clear, like her thing is like rubble clearing. So like you find that this house is on fire, but you need to clear the door is covered in rubble, so like it's trapping people inside. That's the paladin's thing. But now that the door is open, and there are people in there, maybe you need to do, or maybe there's sheep inside the building, let's say. Then the ranger sends their dog in, is like, hey, you guys got to get out of here. Or, maybe it's a druid that can transform into its own animal and go talk to these sheep or something like that. And get them out of this building. And then let's say, because we have to think of this in like threes, like every puzzle requires 3 people to solve it. So what does the third person do? I think the third person would be like the extinguisher, right? Like they're the one in charge of putting the flame out. So
we get some sort of spellcaster to cast no fire.
It'd be kind of cool too if like the wizard can summon like some sort of water elemental, and that's like the wizard is like mainly in charge of putting out fire because they're the ones who can summon different water powers, let's say.
And so there'd be maybe another level where like you realize that you need to have the spellcaster putting out the fire in one place, and there's 2 big fires, and like, okay, well, the only way I'm going to get this one with the most amount of people saved is I need to send my paladin into this building, just ground up as many people and come out, because I know the paladin can tank the fire. They're the only class that I have that can survive in a flaming building.
Interesting.
I want to lean into those like same character class tropes, just play with them in a different light.
Okay, interesting. And could you do a thing? God, it'd be kind of cool too. One thing that firefighters I think have to deal with in real life is they don't really have a whole lot of ways to scope out a building. So they don't know who is where in a building. They kind of just have to like get on a roof and figure it out. Isn't there an ability?
That's why you've got a cleric there, baby. Your paladin, like XCOM, how like characters can it's procedurally generated characters, right? Maybe you'll end up with a paladin that can subclass. Subclassing will be where those like specialties come from. You might get a paladin that specializes in as a cleric, and you're like, oh hell yeah, cleric paladin. They can sense life. I'll always be able to find out where people are and where objectives lie.
I was thinking more along the lines of like it's a little bit more like of a visual experience where it's like in Shadow of Mordor, you can enter Wraith mode, which gives you access to different, like it allows you to see different things. It doesn't let you walk through walls, but what I'm thinking is, isn't there like a planeswalker subclass for the ranger? Where like if they enter that mode, they can then go into a building. They can't interact with anything, but they can walk room to room through walls to see where everybody is and then communicate that to the rest of the party. because like, hey, you might need to destroy this cathedral's burning down, and you need to destroy some walls to get in there. But if you destroy the wrong wall, guess what? It's gonna topple like whoever's in that room. So you need to scout it out, see what is a good point of entry.
I want to give a scouting ability, and I want to create like an objective sensing ability, but I want to tie those both to different classes. And like I want to say
and that
let's
works,
use a job system, right? Like I said, every character will have a base class, and then they will randomly subclass, and that will be kind of the job system that you've seen in games like Octopath Traveler or Bravely Default. There will be skills tied to different classes that can be gained kind of by random. Paladin Cleric, super good. Paladin Voidwalker, not as OP,
for this
but
to
it definitely
work, though,
decent.
Quick question. For this to work, though, doesn't that mean... Because you're going to have a team of 3, and there's 2 ways to do this. Is it that there are a bunch of different classes, there's more than 3, and you could just pick and choose? Or is it there's only 3 classes in this game, and they all kind of can subclass into being different uses? So you can have a wizard who can't put fires out, but they can clear rubble real good because they have a telekinesis ability.
I want to lean with more than 3 classes because it's going to be a tactics game, and like I also want to introduce the idea of like, we know that if you have a full wipe, your machine absolutely destroys itself. But if you only have one person die, when you go back to base, you should be able to recruit somebody new, and your computer will fix itself back to the normal 3.
So
that way we use the permadeath system still.
I'm trying to figure out,
the player can gain new characters.
How do you avoid getting into a situation where you don't, like, you need a person that can put out fires? How do you avoid having a party that that is lacking that ability? So that's what I'm trying to think of. Like, is every class
and if they don't
everything?
Think of that and everybody dies, their machine dies.
They get to the end level. They're like,
there's still going to be a level of RNG in the same way that, like, how do you guarantee in XCOM that you get somebody that can shoot good? You don't. You hope you get a sniper that gains the ability to like get perfect hundo percents from anywhere on the field, or you hope that you get a sniper rifle character that gets the Hawkeye ability so that if anybody sees an enemy, the sniper can see that and make that shot. Like there's RNG, and you have to hope and pray you get the good shit.
That's like a random rolls thing. That's literally playing with fire.
The secondary job class
will
always be random. But at least the character, like when they are the paladin, they will always have at least the paladin skills.
Yeah, they have their base, like the base paladin abilities of like being strong. The wizard is like can do summons on a basic level, and then the subclass dictates what your summons are.
Oh man, but a paladin that would subclass into wizard, so you get a paladin that can put out fire, that'll be a good combo.
Oh, I mean, okay, so that's not necessarily a subclass then. That's like a double class, like you're dual classing at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm using them synonymously. I think that like jobs, classes, they're the same thing in my brain. That's why I was thinking about the Octopath Traveler system, and I'm now realizing that you haven't played Octopath.
No, but you've talked to me about it a bunch. Like I feel like I've gotten a good amount of it.
Every class is the same thing. You can every character has a job, and those jobs can be picked up by other players. And I think that that's what I want to go with for this. A paladin is a job.
Can you buy better equipment as you go through the game, like better firefighting equipment or armor that allows you to, like, say our paladin, like, can we buy her better armor to where she can stand and fire for a lot longer?
Sure, yeah.
Or is there like
we have to allow some way for these characters to get better so that we can sucker more people into thinking that the game is easy, so they'll trick their friends into destroying their PCs. I love the stress also of a situation where somebody has lost 2 of their compatriots and the game is running like shit and they can feel the heat coming off of their game, like machine, and they're like, I just need to finish this. I just need to finish this, and then once I'm done, I can recruit 2 new party members and fix my computer. It'll be fine.
And guess what? If you're the last player standing and your internet DC is on you, I hate to say it, but it's going to treat that as a death. It's going to treat that as a total party wipe.
Online? Like a group game?
Well, I mean, how else would you do co-op?
I wasn't thinking of co-op at all.
Really? Oh,
yeah, I was imagining it like a single-player XCOM style game.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it's more of like because like I feel puzzles are way more interesting when you got to communicate that to your team. like to your fellow players. Like, you remember how fucking crazy and chaotic it gets when we have to do that puzzle in the garden raid in Destiny, where we have to like connect everybody and move around that one small pillar, and it's like a 30-minute endeavor. Imagine that. But also the stress is you don't solve that puzzle, all of your Xboxes get fucking fried. Like, I would be so stressed out of my mind having to communicate that with 2 other people. And I feel like that's what I was thinking this whole time, is that it's like, yes, it's XCOM in terms of like managing, like making sure to pick the right team and stuff, but like when you're actually in the level, it's like you're playing a level of Vermintide or Left 4 Dead, where you kind of have to work as a unit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I could see it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Less XCOM, more Divinity. Okay.
So we have our game. What are we gonna name it? I was thinking Under Fire would be very fun.
Under Fire is not bad.
Do you want something with a little more fantasy element?
If there's any way that we can sell the idea that like these are heroes in it to protect people, you know what I mean? Like, what if it was like Townsguard?
Townsguard?
Yeah.
Townsguard. Is there a way we can introduce some sort of firefighting element to that? Because that, like, it doesn't necessarily feel firefighting centric. I like it because it implies that we are a group of people doing, like, you know, protecting like these towns and these people. But is there a way that you can kind of combine that with? I mean, fucking Promare does that, but then again, it's not about firefighters.
Yeah. I see what you're asking. You're asking for like some like fantasy ass like Flames Bane or some shit like that. What is the
fantasy version of Fire Force? You know,
Flames Bane.
Yeah, Bane is fun. It was like
Scorch Bane, Spark Bane.
Is there okay? So you're saying Townsguard, right? Could we do Townsguard? Firesbane, or because there's like Warhammer Vermintide. There's
so Townsguard, the little dot apostrophe thing.
Mm-hmm.
Flamesbane.
Flamesbane. Could you do Embers, like Embers of some kind? So because I like Townsguard. Townsguard is fun.
Townsguard, Embers of, and then like some fantasy ass dragon name, right? Like Townsguard, Townsguard, Embers of Bahamut or some shit.
Oh, dude. Fuck. Here, hold on. Let me pull up a fantasy name. Fantasy.
Embers of Tiamat.
Tiamat. But is that like is that what we're going? Because they're the ultimate dragon. You have a point there.
Yeah. That's like the ultimate dragon. Townsguard, Embers of Tiamat.
Oh my God, you're onto something, because like we find the core narrative of this is like there's a bunch of dragon attacks going on, and they're always leaving a bunch of fire. Why is that? And you find out Tiamat's like they took my world, because like the whole lore of Tiamat is like everybody in Babylon like band together to fight Tiamat, right? And they banished Tiamat or whatever. So maybe we could play.
Oh no, history.
I don't. I mean, it's not history, it's myth.
That's history. That's real history, dog.
You think Tiamat was a real dragon in our world?
Sure, why not? I wasn't there.
It happened 10,000 years ago. Who knows, man? Anything could have.
You weren't there either, dude. How do you know?
You don't have a first-hand experience. Okay, Embers of Tiamat. I fucking like that. And the narrative is like the final thing is like you have to go to Tiamat's fortress and like put out the fires to getting to her.
The final levels is you having to save the heroes after they've defeated Tiamat. And you're like, great, gotta go wipe their ass again.
Oh, that's right, because we aren't the heroes. So you're we
are not the heroes.
Oh, so they defeat Tiamat, and you have to get in there and save their buns. Okay,
yeah, because they went in to defeat Tiamat as what they believe to be a suicide mission, and you and your homies are like,
shit.
Actually, I think we got this.
That's awesome. So you're basically doing a big rescue mission. That's cool as hell. Dude, hell yeah, Townsguard, Embers of Tiamat. Dude, fuck. Hey,
and again,
man,
if you wipe on this game, your whole computer goes up in flames.
And you just it puts a picture of Tiamat on your screen, and it's like and her eyes are just burning as your computer melts on itself. Yes. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I don't think there's any boss fight this week on a game like that from our Discord. So I think it's just ready for patch notes then, brother.
Okay, yeah, let's go to patch notes. That sounds like a good plan to me. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Patch Notes. Today, I just attacked my table. Hopefully that rumble didn't come through the mic.
I did hear the rumble.
You're on a different mic. My other mic is way better and cooler and handsomer.
I felt like it sounded like leather crinkling, like that's what I heard.
Well,
I just heard it again. I heard some scraping.
You hear me on the Blue Yeti. They hear me on the road.
Oh, you got double mic setup going on.
I got two mics set up. One for you, one for them, you know.
Fancy. All right, tell AJ, what we got something to talk to the audience about. What do you think?
We got something we got to talk to the audience about. As always, I'm sure you've all noticed that we get a lot of submissions from our lovely audience, and you might be thinking, you guys say from all over the internet, but where exactly on the internet would I be able to send a submission for this incredible podcast? Well, the number one best spot to submit is going to be on our Twitter at SpiritualSuck.
With 2 C's.
With 2 C's. It's an incredible Twitter. And if you just send your little video game ideas just at SpiritualSuck, we'll get those ideas and those will come up on this here show. Maybe. Alternatively, you can go ahead and check out our Reddit account. It's spiritual_successor. Mm-hmm. It is a very nice Reddit. There's a lot of good submissions in there. I usually don't get around to those. I should get better about that, but there's some incredible ideas in that Discord as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can send us an email at spiritualsuccessorpodcast@gmail.com.
And one of the other quick little benefits we just want to talk about on our Twitter, we are constantly doing updates on like when our Patreon game nights are, and just so that's the main place I upload art for every week's episode. So if you want to check those out, come check us out at SpiritualSuck with 2 C's on Twitter.
And that's about the only thing that we need to plug this week. As always, our intro and outro song is Cheap Shot by Anna Monoguchi, an excellent song from an excellent band for an excellent game. I've been your host, AJ Hart.
And I have been your other host, Blake Rea.
This has been Spiritual Successor, and these are cool games
that should not be made.